Dr. Nari Choi stood in the command center, her hands shaking as she watched the screens. 13 massive ships hung in the sky above Earth like dark clouds before a storm. They had appeared without warning just 2 hours ago, and nobody knew what to do. The command center was in Seoul, buried deep underground. Hundreds of people rushed around, talking quickly, checking computers, making phone calls. Everyone looked scared. Nari was scared too, but she had a job to do. She was Earth's best expert in alien languages, and if these visitors wanted to talk, she would need to understand them. Captain Taeyang Park stood next to her, his military uniform perfectly neat despite the chaos. He was watching a different screen that showed Earth's defense fleet. 23 ships floated in space, the best humanity had built since discovering faster-than-light travel 3 years ago. Taeyang had commanded many of those ships himself. He was proud of them, but now they were useless. Every single ship was frozen in place, unable to move. The alien vessels had done something, used some kind of technology Earth had never seen. The ship's engines worked fine. The crews were safe. But it was like invisible hands held each vessel perfectly still. They haven't even fired a weapon, Taeyang said quietly. They just stopped us like we're children. Nari nodded. She understood what he meant. This wasn't a battle. This was a demonstration of power. A loud tone filled the room. Everyone stopped talking. The main screen changed, showing a creature that made several people gasp. It was tall and thin, with skin like gray stone. Its eyes were black and empty. When it spoke, the words came in a language Nari had never heard, but somehow she understood. The computer was translating in real time. "People of Earth," the creature said. Its voice was cold and flat. "I am the Supreme Arbiter of the Galactic Council. We have observed your species for many years. You have now achieved faster-than-light travel. This means you must follow galactic law." Nari grabbed a pen and started writing notes. Every word mattered. "These are our terms," the Arbiter continued. "You will give us all designs and technology for faster-than-light travel. You will accept a governor from the Council to rule your planet. You will pay tribute of resources and labor for the next 1,000 years. You have 72 hours to agree." The screen showed images then. Horrible images. Planets burning. Cities destroyed. Billions of people dying. 200 species have received these terms, the Arbiter said. All have accepted. Those who refused faced extinction protocols. Choose wisely. The screen went black. The room exploded with noise. People shouting, crying, arguing. Nari felt sick to her stomach. 1,000 years of slavery. That's what they were offering. But the alternative was death for everyone on Earth. Taeyang's phone rang. He answered it and listened for a moment, then looked at Nari. "The president wants us in a meeting. Now." They took an elevator up 3 floors to a secure conference room. President Do Yoon-han was already there, along with generals, scientists, and leaders from other countries joining by video call. Everyone looked terrified. "Options," the president said simply. A general spoke first. "We can't fight. They froze our entire fleet without trying. Our weapons would be useless." A scientist added, "We could try to evacuate some people, build secret colonies far away. But we'd only save maybe a few thousand. So we surrender," someone said. "We have no choice." "There's always a choice," Taeyang said quietly. Everyone looked at him. "We just haven't found it yet." President Han nodded slowly. "Nari, in your expert opinion, are they telling the truth about the other species?" Nari thought carefully before answering. "Yes, sir." The Arbiter showed no emotion. No anger, no joy. This is routine for them. They've done this before. "Then we need to think differently," the president said. He looked at his assistant. Find Dr. Wujin Yang. I don't care where he is or what he's doing. Bring him here." Nari blinked in surprise. She knew that name. Dr. Yang had been a brilliant physicist, maybe the smartest person on Earth, but he disappeared 3 years ago, right after publishing some strange research about human consciousness. Most people thought he'd gone crazy. Meanwhile, on the moon, engineer Minho Kwon was having a strange day. He worked at the lunar shipyards, building new vessels for Earth's growing fleet. When the alien ships appeared, his boss told everyone to stop working and wait for orders. Minho couldn't stop working. His brain didn't work that way. Instead, he started analyzing the alien technology that had frozen the ships. He pointed every sensor at the nearest frozen vessel and studied the energy readings. What he found made his blood run cold. The energy signature was familiar, not just similar to something he'd seen before. Exactly the same. He checked his old research files from 5 years ago, classified experiments that only a few people knew about. The match was perfect. The aliens were using his technology, or rather technology based on his research. But how? His work had been classified secret, unless someone had stolen it, or unless Earth's computer networks had been compromised for years. Minho sent an urgent message to Earth Command. This was important. Back in Seoul, Commander Hannah Lim sat in a dark room surrounded by screens. She worked for Earth intelligence, finding secrets and solving mysteries. Right now, she was looking through old files, anything that might help them understand the Galactic Council. She found something in the SETI archives. SETI was the old program that listened for alien signals. 40 years ago, they'd received a message. It had been marked as a possible hoax, and buried in the files. Hana played the recording. It was in English, translated from something else. Do not let them test you. Humans are different. If you fight back, do not stop. The message repeated 3 times, then ended. Hannah's heart raced. Someone had warned Earth 4 decades ago, before humans even had space stations. Someone had tried to tell them about the Council. She sent the file to President Han immediately. As the 72 hours began counting down, Nari returned to her office. She needed to think. The Arbiter's words kept playing in her mind. Something felt wrong about the whole situation. Her computer beeped. A new message. But it hadn't come through normal channels. Someone had sent it directly to her personal account, bypassing all security. The message was short. They're afraid of something. Find Yang. You have less time than you think. Nari stared at the screen. The message had come from space, from the direction of the Council ships. Someone up there was trying to help them. She grabbed her phone and called Tai Yang. I think we have a spy on the Council flagship, and I think Dr. Yang is more important than we realized. Outside, the alien ships waited in silence. The countdown continued. Earth had 70 hours left to decide its fate. 60 hours remained when Tai Yang and Nari landed in Antarctica. The military transport set down on ice near a research station that officially didn't exist. The wind was brutal, cutting through their cold-weather gear like knives. Are you sure he's here? Tai Yang shouted over the wind. Nari checked her tablet. Intelligence tracked his credit cards, then his friends, then his suppliers. This is where the trail ends. They found him in a basement laboratory beneath the research station. Dr. Wujin. Yang looked older than his 43 years. His hair was completely gray now, and deep lines marked his face. He was working at a computer when they entered, and he didn't seem surprised to see them. I wondered when you'd come, Yang said quietly. I saw the ships on the news. The Council finally made their move. You know about them? Nari asked. Yang laughed, but there was no humor in it. Know about them? They're the reason I've been hiding for 3 years. He led them to a secure room deeper underground. The walls were covered in equations and diagrams. Some looked like physics. Others looked like something else entirely. Symbols and patterns that hurt to look at too long. 3 years ago, I made a discovery, Yang began. I was studying human brain activity at the quantum level. Every living thing operates on quantum frequencies, but humans are different. Our consciousness exists on a frequency that shouldn't be possible. It's too high, too complex. I don't understand, Taiyang said. Yang pointed to one of his diagrams. Think of it this way. Most species are like AM radios. Simple, clear signals. Humans are like smartphones. We're broadcasting on frequencies that require technology most species need millions of years to develop naturally. But we were born this way. What does that mean? Nari asked. It means that under the right conditions, human consciousness can affect reality at the quantum level. Not in big ways, usually. But when humans focus together, when we're under extreme stress, we can change things. Make things happen as shouldn't be possible. Yang pulled up a file on his computer. I published preliminary findings. Just basic research, nothing dangerous. 2 weeks later, every computer I owned was hacked. Someone took everything. Then I started getting signals. Not radio signals. Quantum signals sent directly into my mind while I slept. He showed them recordings of his brain activity during sleep. The patterns were wrong, artificial, like someone had been programming him. They wanted me to stop researching, to forget what I'd learned. So I ran. I've been building defenses ever since, trying to create a shield against what I call the filter. Something or someone out in the galaxy that stops species from developing this ability. Taiyang's phone buzzed. A message from Minho on the moon. He read it and his face went pale. Yang, could your research be used to create a weapon? Something that could freeze ships in place? Absolutely. If you understood the quantum frequency of a ship's systems, you could lock them down by broadcasting interference. Why? Because that's exactly what the Council is using. And the technology is based on human research from 5 years ago. Yang closed his eyes. They've been stealing from us for years, learning from us, using our own innovations against us. On the moon, Minho was having breakthrough after breakthrough. Once he knew to look for it, he found evidence everywhere. The alien technology wasn't alien at all. It was human technology, refined and improved, but built on foundations pulled from Earth's computers. He sent another message to Earth Command. They're not more advanced than us. They're just older. They've been collecting technology from other species for thousands of years. Commander Hannah Lim received Minho's message and immediately started a new search. If the Council had been watching Earth for years, there had to be more evidence. More messages, more warnings, more clues. She found them in old military files. Unexplained signals from space, marked as equipment errors. Satellite malfunctions that seemed random but followed patterns. Computer viruses that appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. The Council had been preparing Earth for this moment for decades. Studying humanity, stealing research, getting ready for the day when humans discovered FTL travel and had to be controlled. But why? Why go to such effort? Back in Antarctica, Yang showed them his greatest secret. Behind a locked door was a machine the size of a truck. It hummed with power, covered in cables and cooling systems. I call it the resonance engine, Yang said, based on my research into human consciousness. If activated, it would amplify the quantum frequency of every human mind on Earth and in space. Link them together into a network, like a hive mind? Nari asked, worried. No, everyone would still be individuals. But they'd be aware of each other, able to share thoughts and feelings. And if my calculations are correct, the combined consciousness of 8 billion humans might be able to affect reality in measurable ways. Might be. Tai Yang said, "You're not sure?" "The equations work in theory, but I've never tested it." "I'm afraid to, because if it works and we can't control it, we might destroy ourselves faster than the Council ever could." Tai Yang made a decision. "We need to get you and this machine to Seoul. The President needs to hear this." As they prepared to leave, Nari received a new message on her tablet. This one was official, from the Council. She played it out loud that the Supreme Arbiter's face appeared on screen. "People of Earth, we have detected unusual quantum activity from your planet. We are moving up our deadline. You now have 24 hours to comply. This is your final warning." The message ended with new footage. A planet, green and blue like Earth. Then ships appeared in orbit. Weapons fired. The planet cracked apart, becoming nothing but rocks and dust. "That was the Kellner species," the Arbiter said. "They refused our terms 600 years ago. This is what happens to those who choose poorly." The screen went black. Yang stared at the tablet. 24 hours. They're scared. They're actually scared of us. Why would they be scared? Nari asked. Because they know what we are. What we could become. The filter I've been studying. The force that's been trying to stop my research. I think it is the Council. They've been suppressing species like ours for thousands of years. They flew back to Seoul as fast as the transport could manage. Yang brought his resonance engine data, though the machine itself was too large to move quickly. In the command center, President Han listened to Yang's explanation. Around the room, leaders from every nation watched via video link. So our choices are surrender and become slaves, die fighting a battle we can't win, or activate an experimental machine that might destroy us all? The President summarized. Those are the options, Yang confirmed. Commander Sora Kim stepped forward. She led Earth's special operations teams, the best soldiers humanity had. There's one more option. We infiltrate their flagship, find out what they're really afraid of. That's suicide, a general said. Maybe, Sora agreed. But sitting here waiting to die is definitely suicide. At least my way, we learn something useful before the end. Tai Yang looked at Sora with respect. I'll authorize the mission. Take whoever you need. As Sora left to gather her team, Hana approached the President with her findings. Sir, I've been analyzing the Council's behavior. They're not acting like conquerors. They're acting like prison guards. Every action they've taken is about containment, not destruction. What are you saying? President Han asked. I'm saying maybe they don't want to destroy us. Maybe they can't. Maybe there's a rule or law preventing them from wiping out species entirely. So instead, they break us, make us surrender, turn us into something harmless. Yang nodded slowly. That would explain everything. The 1,000-year tribute. The governor. They're not trying to rule us. They're trying to change us. Evolve us into something that doesn't threaten them. President Han stood up and addressed everyone in the room and on the video calls. Then we have our answer. We don't surrender. We don't go quietly. Sora, you have your mission. Yang, prepare your resonance engine. If we're going to fight, we use every weapon we have. Across Earth, the news spread quickly. Humanity had 24 hours left. People gathered in streets, in homes, in churches and temples. Some prayed. Some cried. Some simply held each other and waited. But deep in the Seoul Command Center, Nari was reading the mysterious message again. Find Yang. You have less time than you think. They'd found Yang. They knew about the resonance engine. But what else were they missing? In orbit, the Council ships began to glow with gathering energy. The countdown continued. Earth had 1 day left to change everything. 20 hours remained when Commander Sora Kim and her team launched into space. They flew in a captured alien shuttle that Earth forces had found drifting near Mars 3 months ago. Nobody knew where it came from, but Hana's techs had figured out how to fly it. The team was small. Just 5 people, including Sora. There was Junho Lee, an engineer who understood alien systems better than anyone. Ray Park, a weapons expert who could turn anything into a bomb. Hyen Song, a medic who'd served in 3 wars. And Quan Beek, a pilot who could fly anything with engines. "Remember," Sora said as they approached the Council flagship, "we're not here to fight. We're here to learn. Get in, find information, get out." The shuttle's computer beeped. Hana had modified it to broadcast the same quantum signature as Council vessels. As far as the flagship's sensors knew, they were just another Council ship returning home. It worked. The flagship's landing bay opened, and Quan guided them inside smoothly. They sat down among dozens of other shuttles, and nobody came to investigate. "Too easy," Ray muttered. "Don't say that," Hyen replied. "You'll jinx us." They moved through the flagship's corridors carefully. The ship was enormous, easily 10 times the size of Earth's largest vessel. The walls were made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Everything was quiet, except for a low humming sound that came from everywhere and nowhere. "No crew," Junho observed. "Where is everyone?" They found the answer on the 3rd level. A massive chamber filled with equipment. At the center sat the 13 council members, but they weren't meeting or talking. They were connected to machines, tubes, and wires running into their bodies. Their eyes were closed. "They're not alive," Hyen said, checking readings on his medical scanner. "Not really. The machines are keeping them functional, but they should have died centuries ago. Maybe longer. Why would they do this?" Ray asked. Sora moved closer to one of the council members. It looked like the Supreme Arbiter, but smaller somehow, shrunken. "Because they can't let go. They're afraid of what comes after." Junho found a computer terminal. His fingers flew across the controls, breaking through security protocols that should have been impossible to crack. But Council technology was based on human research, and Junho understood it perfectly. "I'm in their database," he said, "downloading everything I can." What he found would have made him scream if he'd been the type to panic. Instead, he just went very quiet and very pale. "Sora," he said carefully, "you need to see this." The database told a story that went back 50,000 years. The Galactic Council wasn't a government. It was a prison system created by a species called the progenitors. Their mission was simple: find and contain dangerous species before they could threaten the cosmic order. Dangerous didn't mean violent. It meant evolved. Species that developed abilities beyond the normal, beyond what the progenitors thought should be possible. The files showed 200 species that had been processed. Each one had some unique ability. The Velner could manipulate gravity with their minds. The Kesh could see across time. The Morith could transfer their consciousness between bodies. And humans? Humans could affect quantum reality through collective thought. Every species that submitted to Council rule was slowly changed over generations. The tribute wasn't resources. It was DNA, genetic samples. The Council altered their captive species over time, weeding out the abilities that made them special, making them normal, safe. The species that refused were destroyed, not because the Council wanted to kill them, but because those species fought so hard that extinction was the only option left. "This isn't governance," Junho said. "It's genocide. Slow genocide of everything that makes species unique." Behind them, they heard a sound, humming like machinery waking up. They turned to see thousands of pods lining the walls of the chamber. Pods they'd thought were empty. They weren't empty. Each one held a person from one of the conquered species. Representatives prisoners, hostages. KEPT, alive in stasis for thousands of years. We have to free them, Sora said. We don't have time, Myray argued. We need to get this data back to Earth. Sora looked at the pods, thinking of all those people trapped for millennia while their species were slowly erased. We make time. Junho found the stasis controls. This is going to be loud. As soon as these pods open, the whole ship will know we're here. Do it, Sora ordered. The pods began opening one by one. The people inside woke slowly, confused and scared. Sora and her team tried to calm them, to explain what was happening, but it was chaos. One of the freed prisoners was different from the others. It was tall and thin with silver skin and too many fingers. When it saw the humans, it made a sound like wind chimes. You are human, it said in perfect English. The translator built into its pod must have taught it Earth languages. Yes, Sora said. We're here to stop the Council. The being's eyes widened. My name is Vel. My species, the Velner, were imprisoned 12,000 years ago. The Council feared our abilities. They said we were dangerous. Were you? Sora asked. No more dangerous than any species that wants to be free. Vel looked around at the other freed prisoners. You woke us. The Council will kill you for this. They're already trying to kill us, Sora said. Our whole planet. We have nothing to lose. Vel made that wind chime sound again. It might have been laughter. Then perhaps we have much to gain together. Let me help you. On Earth, Yang had transported his resonance engine to Sol. It sat in a warehouse near the command center, humming with power. Nari stood next to him, watching displays that showed quantum frequencies across the planet. Are you sure about this? She asked. Yang shook his head. No, but we're out of options. He activated the engine. The effect was immediate. People across Earth reported feeling strange. Not bad, just different. Like they were aware of something they'd never noticed before. Taiyang felt it in the command center. He could sense his crew, the people he'd served with for years. Their emotions, their determination, their fear. It wasn't overwhelming. More like background noise that had always been there, but he'd never heard until now. President Han felt it too. 8 billion minds, all beginning to connect. Still individual, still unique, but aware of each other in a way that should be impossible. It's working, Yang said, watching the quantum reading spike. Human consciousness is synchronizing. On the moon, Minho detected massive energy buildups in the Council ships. He sent an urgent message to Earth. They're not preparing weapons to threaten us. They're preparing to erase us. The deadline was always a lie. The Supreme Arbiter's face appeared on every screen across Earth. For the first time, the creature showed emotion, fear. Shut down whatever you're doing, it said, its voice shaking. You don't understand what you'll become. We're trying to save the galaxy from you. Taiyang laughed. He couldn't help it. Save the galaxy? You've imprisoned 200 species, and you think you're the good guys? The Arbiter's image flickered. The progenitors created us to maintain order. Species like yours, with abilities beyond the norm, you think you're special. You think you're chosen. But you're dangerous. You'll destroy everything if left unchecked. Or maybe we'll build something better, Nari said quietly. The Arbiter started to respond, but the transmission cut off. Something was interfering with the signal. Something from Earth. Yang's resonance engine had reached new levels. The synchronization was spreading beyond Earth now, touching humans in space stations and ships. Every human mind connecting, forming a network of consciousness that had never existed before. Aboard the Council flagship, alarms began blaring. Vel looked at Sora with something like awe. What are your people doing? Vel asked. Becoming something new, Sora said. Or maybe becoming what we were always meant to be. The Council ships powered their weapons. Earth had 2 hours left, but something had changed. 8 billion human minds were thinking together now, processing information at impossible speeds. They could feel the threat in orbit. They understood what was coming, and together they began to think about how to stop it. 2 hours until Earth's destruction. But time felt different now. Nari stood in the command center and experienced something impossible. She could feel Tai Yang standing next to her, could sense his thoughts without hearing them. Not reading his mind exactly, but understanding his emotional state, his determination, his fear for humanity's future. And beyond Tai Yang, she felt others. Millions of others. President Han in his office. Minho on the moon. Hana in her intelligence bunker. Sora aboard the Council flagship. All of them connected by something deeper than radio waves or computer networks. 8 billion human minds thinking together while remaining beautifully, perfectly individual. This is incredible, Yang said, watching his instruments. The quantum synchronization is complete. Every human consciousness is linked. We're processing information at speeds that should require supercomputers, but we're doing it naturally. Problems that would normally take years to solve are being answered in seconds. Scientists across the planet shared theories instantly. Engineers collaborated without speaking. Artists felt each other's creativity and built upon it. Tai Yang looked at the display showing Earth's frozen fleet. He thought about them moving again. Not hoped or wished, but thought with the certainty of 8 billion minds behind him. The ships began to move, not because their engines restarted. The quantum lock was still in place. But 8 billion minds together had decided the ships should move, and reality seemed to agree. One by one, the vessels broke free from the Council's technology through nothing but collective will. That's impossible, a technician said. It was impossible, Tai Yang corrected. Not anymore. On the moon, Minho felt the change too. He'd always been alone in his head, his thoughts moving fast but solitary. Now he could feel other engineers thinking with him. They were solving the problem of the Council's weapons together. 8 billion minds examining the data he'd collected. They found the answer in seconds. The planet-killer weapons worked by creating a quantum cascade that tore apart atomic bonds. Terrifying technology. But it required specific frequency to trigger. And if 8 billion minds agreed, that frequency didn't exist. What then? Aboard the flagship, Sora felt the connection to Earth grow stronger. She could sense President Han making a decision, could feel Nari's determination, could even feel her team around her, their minds bright and clear in the quantum network. Vel watched the humans with fascination. You're changing. Right in front of me. Your species is evolving in real time. We're not changing, Sora said. We're becoming what we always were. We just didn't know it. The freed prisoners gathered around them. 200 species, all of them changed by the Council's prison. But seeing humans now, seeing what they were becoming, some of them started to remember what they'd been before. A Kesh prisoner closed its 3 eyes and concentrated. For the first time in 8,000 years, it saw a glimpse of the future. Just a flash, but it was there. The ability the Council had tried to breed out was coming back. You're giving us hope, the Kesh said. By being free, you're showing us we can be free too. Vel touched Sora's shoulder with too many fingers. The progenitors feared this exact moment. A species that refuses to be contained, inspiring others to do the same. This is why the Council exists. To prevent this. Then the Council picked the wrong species to threaten. Sora said, back on Earth. President Han addressed the planet. But he wasn't giving orders. For the first time in human history, he didn't need to. We're connected now, he said simply. All of us? We can feel each other. So I'm not going to command you. I'm going to ask, do we fight for our freedom, knowing we might lose everything? Or do we submit and lose ourselves slowly over generations? The answer came instantly, not in words, but in feeling. 8 billion minds in perfect agreement. They would rather die free than live as prisoners. Yang's resonance engine hit maximum power. He'd designed it to amplify human consciousness, but it was doing something more now. It was transforming it. Humans weren't just aware of each other anymore. They were aware of the quantum foam underlying reality. The same layer where thoughts could become actions. Where we could change what was possible. Nari felt it first. She looked at a coffee cup on the table and thought it should be full. It filled with coffee. Not because someone poured it, because she thought it should be full, and reality agreed with her. We're rewriting the rules, she said, amazed and terrified. Taiyang understood then what the council truly feared. Not human violence or aggression. They feared human potential. The ability to think something and make it real. To imagine a better world and create it through nothing but collective will. The council ships fired their planet-killer weapons. Massive beams of destructive energy lanced toward Earth from 13 directions at once. Enough power to crack the planet into asteroids. 8 billion minds observed the weapons and made a decision. The weapons dissolved, not destroyed or deflected, simply unmade. The energy dissipated harmlessly into space because 8 billion minds had agreed the weapons shouldn't exist. The Supreme Arbiter's voice came over all channels, screaming now. This is exactly what we feared. You'll destroy the balance. You'll upset the cosmic order. What order? President Han asked calmly. The one where you imprison anyone different? The one where you crush diversity and uniqueness? That order needed to be upset. Taiyang felt the network of human consciousness reach a new understanding. They could unmake the weapons. But what about the ships? What about the council itself? Together, 8 billion minds considered the question. They could erase the council from existence with a thought. The power was there. The will was there. But should they? Nari felt the debate ripple through the network. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted justice. Some just wanted the threat gone. But most wanted something else. They wanted the council to understand. To see what they'd done wrong. To have the chance to change. 8 billion minds, thinking together but remaining individual, made a choice that surprised even themselves. They decided on mercy. The council ships began to move. Not because anyone was flying them. 8 billion minds simply agreed the ships should be elsewhere. The vessels lifted from Earth's orbit gently, carefully, and began moving away from the planet. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just relocated. Sent far into space where they could do no more harm. But the council members themselves? The 13 ancient beings kept alive by machines, forcing their will on the galaxy for 50,000 years? 8 billion minds looked at them and felt pity. These creatures were prisoners of their own fear, unable to move forward, unable to let go. The humans offered them something the progenitors had never given anyone else. A choice. Live free or don't live at all. Taiyang said quietly. The Supreme Arbiter's consciousness, spread across the flagship's computers, suddenly understood what was happening. The humans weren't going to destroy the council. They were going to free them. No, the Arbiter said. We can't. Without our purpose, without our mission, we are nothing. Then be nothing, Nari said gently. Rest, your war is over. 8 billion minds focused on the 13 council members. Not with hatred or violence, with compassion. They thought about these ancient beings finally being at peace. Finally letting go of their fear. The council members stopped moving. The machines keeping them alive powered down. And one by one, peacefully, they ceased to be, not murdered, Not destroyed. Simply allowed to rest after 50,000 years of fighting against the inevitable. Aboard the flagship, Sora felt the moment it happened. The oppressive weight that had hung over the vessel disappeared. The freed prisoners gasped, feeling chains they didn't know they wore suddenly fall away. "It's over," Vel said, its voice full of wonder. "After 12,000 years, it's finally over." The resonance engine began powering down. Yang watched the readings with relief. The synchronization was fading, but not disappearing completely. Humans were returning to normal, individual consciousness. But they'd always feel that faint connection now. Always know they weren't alone. Taiyang's frozen fleet was moving normally again, crews reporting in with amazement. On the moon, Minho was getting congratulations from engineers he'd never met, but felt like he'd known for hours. In the command center, Nari looked at President Han. "What did we just do?" "We showed the galaxy that there's another way," the president said. "Not through domination or submission, through understanding." But as celebrations began on Earth, as people hugged each other and cried with relief, Nari felt something through the fading connection. A presence. Distant, but approaching. She looked at the displays showing deep space. Something was out there. Something that had felt what humanity just did, and it was coming home. 6 months had passed since the Council disappeared. Nari stood in the new Galactic Assembly Hall on the moon, looking out at representatives from across the galaxy. The hall was built in a crater, with transparent aluminum walls that showed Earth hanging in the black sky above. It was beautiful. The assembly was nothing like the Council. There were no thrones, no supreme arbiters, no rulers. Just tables arranged in a circle where everyone could see each other, where everyone had a voice. Vel sat at one table, representing what remained of the Velner species. Next to Vel were representatives from the Kesh, the Morith, and dozens of other species that had been freed from the Council's prison. Some had returned to their homeworlds. Others stayed near Earth, curious about these strange humans who'd broken the oldest prison in the galaxy as casually as opening a door. Taiyang sat at the human table, now an ambassador rather than a captain. He still wore his military uniform, but his role had changed. Earth didn't need warriors right now. It needed bridge builders. "The main issue today," Vel said, speaking to the assembly, "is resource distribution. 17 species have requested access to the FTL technology that Earth has offered to share." "Granted," Taiyang said immediately. "We're not the Council. We don't hoard technology. If it can help people, it should be shared." A representative from the Kesh stood up. "Captain Taiyang, your generosity is appreciated. But we must ask, what does Earth want in return?" "Peace," Taiyang said simply. "Friendship. The knowledge that we're not alone in trying to build something better than what the Council created." The Kesh sat down slowly, as if the answer confused them. They weren't used to gifts without strings attached. Minho was on Earth, working in a laboratory he shared with engineers from 6 different species. They were reverse engineering Council technology, not to build weapons, but to understand how it worked. Every discovery was published freely, shared with everyone. A Morith engineer named Keth worked next to Minho, its tentacles moving across holographic controls with grace. "Your species confuses me," Keth said. "You had the power to rule the galaxy. You could have become the new Council, forced everyone to follow your rules. But you gave the power away." Minho shrugged. "Power like that corrupts. We saw what happened to the progenitors. They started out trying to help, probably. Ended up as tyrants. We don't want that." "But you could have made everyone safe," Keth argued. "Safe isn't the same as free," Minho said. "The Council kept the galaxy safe for 50,000 years. But at what cost? 200 species lost their uniqueness. Billions of people lived and died as prisoners without knowing it. Keth was quiet for a moment. The Morith used to be able to transfer our consciousness between bodies. The Council bred that ability out of us over generations. I'll never know what it felt like. My ancestor's gift was stolen. Maybe it can come back, Minho said. That Kesh representative who could see the future. Their ability is returning slowly. The Council's genetic modifications are fading. It might take generations, but your people might remember how to transfer consciousness again. Because you freed us, Keth said. Because you were always meant to be free. President Han was in his office in Seoul, meeting with Commander Hana Lim. She'd been promoted after the Council's defeat, now leading Earth's entire intelligence network. We're still getting signals from deep space, Hana said, showing him a display. Same message on repeat. They've been broadcasting for 3 months now. The president listened to the recording. It was in a language Earth's computers had to translate, but the meaning was clear. We felt the old chains break. We're coming home. Thank you, humans. Thank you for being brave enough to become what you are, and wise enough to stay who you were. Who are they? President Han asked. A species called the Thenari. According to the Council's archives that we recovered, they were imprisoned 30,000 years ago. The most dangerous species the Council ever encountered. Dangerous how? Hannah pulled up more files. They could manipulate dark energy, bend space itself. The progenitors threw everything they had at the Thenari, but couldn't defeat them. So they did the only thing they could. They convinced the Thenari to imprison themselves. How? By threatening to destroy every other species in the galaxy if the Thenari didn't surrender. The Thenari chose exile over causing genocide. They've been hiding in dark space for 30,000 years. President Han stared at the message. And now they're coming back because we broke the Council. Yes, sir? Are they a threat? Hannah shook her head. I don't think so. Any species that would exile themselves to save others doesn't sound like conquerors. But we won't know until they arrive. On the moon, Nari was teaching xenolinguistics to students from 12 different species. The University of Luna had opened 3 months ago, the first institution of higher learning that welcomed everyone, regardless of species or origin. One of her students was a young Velner named Shen. The child had been born after the Council's defeat. One of the first Velner born free in 12,000 years. Teacher Nari, Shen asked, is it true that humans can change reality with their minds? Nari smiled. For a little while, we could, when we were all connected. But we chose to let that power go. Why? Another student asked, this one Akesh. Because it was too much power for anyone to have. We made one choice with it, the choice to free everyone. Then we decided that was enough. We wanted to be normal again. But you're not normal, Shen said. You defeated the Council. You freed everyone. You're heroes. We're just people, Nari said. People who got scared and angry and decided to do something about it. Any species would have done the same. The Council said we were all dangerous, the Kesh student said quietly. They said our abilities made us a threat to the galaxy. Nari knelt down to look the student in the eyes. You are dangerous. All of you. Every species with intelligence and free will is dangerous. But dangerous doesn't mean evil. Fire is dangerous, but it keeps us warm and cooks our food. The Council was afraid of danger, so they tried to eliminate it. We think danger is part of life, part of growth, part of being free. Sora was back on Earth, no longer leading Spec Ops missions. She'd become an ambassador to the freed species, helping them adjust to their new reality. Many of them had been in stasis for thousands of years. The galaxy they remembered was gone. She met with Vel regularly. The old Velner had become a friend, despite their differences. My people are struggling, Vel admitted over tea in Sora's apartment. We remember being able to manipulate gravity with our thoughts. But none of us can do it anymore. The ability is gone. Maybe not gone, Sora said. Just sleeping. The Council spent 12,000 years breeding it out of you. It might take time to come back. We may not have time. Our homeworld is dying. We need to move our population, but we don't have the technology for mass evacuation. Then we'll help, Sora said. Earth has the ships. We'll move your people wherever they need to go. Vel's eyes shimmered with tears. Why do you help us? We have nothing to offer in return. You're our friends, Sora said. That's enough. Yang had returned to teaching. Accepting a position at the University of Luna, his resonance engine sat in a museum now. A reminder of what humanity had briefly become. He gave lectures on quantum consciousness to packed halls. Students from every species came to learn how humans had achieved the impossible. The key, Yang explained, was that we didn't try to control the power. We used it once, for one purpose, then let it go. The Council held on to power for 50,000 years, and it destroyed them. We held it for a few hours, and then gave it away. But don't you miss it? A student asked. Being connected to everyone? Being able to change reality? Yang thought about that. Sometimes. But I like being just myself, too. I like having my own thoughts, my own mistakes, my own choices. The connection was beautiful, but this is better. Tai Yang stood at the window of the assembly hall, watching Earth rotate slowly in the sky. Nari joined him, taking a break from her teaching duties. Do you ever regret it? Nari asked. Giving up the power? Every day, Tai Yang admitted. And every day I know it was the right choice. The Venari will be here soon. Hannah says within the month. Are you worried? Nari shook her head. No. Any species that sacrifice themselves to save others can't be evil. I think they'll be allies. And if they're not, then we'll deal with it together, like we always do. A message came through on Tai Yang's communicator. He read it and smiled. The latest census numbers are in. 47 species have joined the assembly. 12 more are considering it. We're building something real here. Not a government, Nari said. No, a community. A family. They stood together, watching Earth and the moon and the stars beyond. The galaxy was changing. The Council's prison had been broken. Species were rediscovering their abilities, their uniqueness, their freedom. And it was all because humanity had looked at impossible odds and decided to do the impossible, not through violence, not through domination, but through transformation and wisdom, and the simple belief that everyone deserved to be free. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council had threatened Earth with extinction. Now the Council was gone, disappeared into history. The beings that had ruled for 50,000 years were finally at rest, and in their place was something new. Something better. Not perfect, but trying. Not without problems, but facing them together. Humanity had become what the Council feared most. Not conquerors. Not tyrants. Just people who refused to kneel. People who showed the galaxy that there was another way. People who proved that the most dangerous thing in the universe wasn't power or ability or technology. It was hope. That the message from the Venari played again, broadcasting across the galaxy for anyone to hear. We're coming home. Thank you, humans. Thank you for being brave enough to become what you are, and wise enough to stay who you were. Nari smiled. Let them come. We'll welcome them, just like we welcome everyone. The Council wanted to make the galaxy safe, Tai Yang said. We just want to make it free, Nari finished, and in the assembly hall behind them, representatives from dozens of species talked and laughed and argued and learned from each other. building something new, building something worth fighting for. The Council had disappeared moments after threatening Earth, and in the silence they left behind, the galaxy learned to sing.